Okay.
All right, good morning, everybody. I'm going to, let me briefly go over with you what we're going to be doing today. And it's a few different things. So we're going to start by talking about the U.S. healthcare system. This is for the syllabus, right? And you know my syllabus is, what, 8 or 9 pages long. And so there's a lot of stuff in there if you aren't sure. Which reminds me to remind you that we are in a different room on Thursday, July 6th. This week on Thursday, we're in Rabin 7037. For some reason. Okay?
When is that?
Thursday,
Oh, Thursday.
6th July. Okay. Now, so what we're going to start with is a discussion of the U.S. healthcare system, which is going to be done in a less structured way than I want you to do your presentations. Okay? This is not a model for what I want you to do, right? And we'll see why. Then we're going to go over a little more data, like we did, some more charts. Commonwealth Fund reports, we're going to go over the WHO ranking from 17 years ago. Then we're going to learn about 2 health systems that I consider ideal. Ariel is going to present Sweden in what's called the Middle Way. And Ariel, did you see any reference to something called the Middle Way? It's a Swedish term, we'll talk about it. And I'm sure you'll describe it, whatever that is. And if not, I'll help you with that. And then Gil is going to tell us about France. We're going to talk about liberté, égalité, and fraternité. We're actually going to do that a little bit when we talk about the U.S. healthcare system. Anyway, then we have lunch between Sweden and France, okay? And have anyone been to Sweden? Anyone been to France? So I hope you have a lunch that's more like France than like Sweden. Okay. Sweden's a little on time, but it's not fair. Okay. Then the afternoon, after France, we're going to talk about globalization. Because this course is in global health systems, and globalization is impacting healthcare delivery just as it does everything else. And in Tom Friedman's article, he talks about Bangalore, and so I'm going to ask Shauli, am I pronouncing it right?
Mm-hmm.
Shauli.
Yeah.
You work at Rambam?
No.
Oh,
Zeke works at Rambam.
Okay.
Yeah.
Where do you work?
I work at the hospital called Neva Shalom.
Okay.
Which is more down south.
Okay. So, but the question is pertinent anyway. It doesn't matter what hospital, I don't think. Maybe you. So if a patient comes in to the hospital at 2 o'clock in the morning and needs an x-ray interpreted, is there a radiologist there?
Yeah.
There is?
Yeah.
Okay. In many hospitals, there is not. And as Friedman talks about, there is a radiologist available for you in Bangalore. Okay? So, I mean, it's a very simple example of globalization, but it's much more complex than that. But we're going to hear about globalization. So we're going to hear about Toyota, and we're going to hear about Japan after we talk about globalization. Okay? Now, the first exercise we're going to do today is we're going to come over here, and I think Davey, can you just take a look at the screen and make sure that I can be seen by our colleagues who are here? Okay,
Yep.
good. Thank you. All right. We're going to talk about the U.S. healthcare system, but I want to be very theoretical about it first. And let's see how far we get based on what we do, and then we'll talk more about it. So, the basis for the U.S. healthcare system in the States, we just put a dollar sign, other countries, USD, US dollars. Okay? You're familiar with both, right? And the basic motivator of American society, I will submit, is capitalism. Okay? It's all about making money. So, let's build a healthcare system based on a business model, a capitalist model. Okay, so this sort of, let's think about it a little bit. What is that going to mean?
Well, someone's going to have to benefit and profit out of it.
Profits are a priority. Okay? And how do you make profits? Mason, how do you make profits? Revenue. And where does the, let's talk about the money flow. Where does the revenue go?
In a hospital?
Anywhere in the healthcare system, in a hospital.
Well, it really does depend, because if you have different various hospitals, some are, NGOs,
Let me take a different example for a second. We talked about Coca-Cola last week.
sorry, I was trying to think of my own experience of revenue.
Yeah, we'll get to hospitals in a minute. It's not a perfect example as I think about it, okay? Let's start with Coca-Cola. You buy a bottle of Coke. Where does the money go?
Well,
To the company.
To the company. Now, when you think about it, so we're gonna go over here. What is a bottle? 10 shekels maybe? So you put 10 shekels in the machine, and good morning. You put 10 shekels in the machine, and where does it go from there?
well, the vending machine, and the company of the vending machine gets one. I mean, there's a whole chain.
There's a whole
The
chain.
company and the distributors and whatever, the marketing, eventually, part of it goes to the company.
Well, you have your revenue, but then you have expenses, and then you do all these calculations, and then you get your net income. So at the end of the day, you don't actually get the revenue as your profit, you get your net income. So you have to take into account all these various things.
Right.
Which
Okay.
is, like he said, like the vending machine company, and then you have the cost of actually making the Coca-Cola, and then you come back to how much money you made.
Right. So there are all these intermediaries in the production and sales of Coca-Cola. And for that all to work, what happens if the vending company or the distribution company doesn't make a profit in that chain?
It increases the price, or it would just drop out.
They'll drop out. I mean, it's a for-profit business. So if they don't make a profit, they're gone. Either the business will close, or they'll raise their prices, or they'll innovate somehow to lower their costs, because they all have expenses or costs, right? And in this chain, every single piece of it must make money. Now, it's possible that the Coca-Cola company, which is here, may own part of the chain, and they may lower the cost a little bit, because the cost here is going to be stronger, so they can do that. But still, essentially each step needs to be profitable, right? Now, as we look at the Coca-Cola company, the Coca-Cola process, not just the company, the process. You got the vending company, you have the distribution company, you have the production of the drink, you have the marketing, and then you have Coca-Cola itself, right? What relationship do these companies have to each other?
Do they, at the end of the day, kind of work for Coca-Cola?
They work for Coca-Cola, are they owned by them?
No.
No, generally not, okay? Right.
Unless Coca-Cola decides to buy their own marketing firm.
Right, so Coca-Cola over the years, like most corporations, has probably experimented. Okay, so one, they'll own everything for a while, and then they'll discover that that's not profitable, so then they'll sell it off, and they go back and forth, okay? I think in the Coca-Cola business, certainly Coca-Cola doesn't run the vending machine, okay? And it very likely does not handle the distribution. And in fact, I think their model, Coca-Cola is a company in Atlanta, Georgia, so I know a little about them. The companies that make the drink are not owned by Coca-Cola.
Yes.
They have a contract.
Even the trucks that deliver,
Right.
these are independent contractors.
Right.
The bottlers are independent. So I think they minimize risk by not getting intimately involved with every single process. So they
Okay.
ship it.
Right. So in this capitalist model, Coca-Cola is as good a model of capitalism as any. You have all these different parts, each owned separately, and each one needs to be profitable, right? And we talked about Adam Smith on Thursday, the father of modern economic theory, who talked about the invisible hand of the marketplace. And Coca-Cola is a perfect example of the marketplace. Okay, now, but we're not here to talk about Coca-Cola, we're here to talk about the U.S. healthcare system. So why did I bring this up? Because it's what?
It's run like a business.
It's run like a business. In the United States, the U.S. healthcare system is not much different from Coca-Cola. I mean, that's not nice to say, all right? I mean, I went to medical school, made a pledge, a Hippocratic oath, okay? Said, please, come in. Have a seat. Welcome.
Thank you, Ilya.
Ilya.
Nice to meet you.
So, Ilya, we're talking about the U.S. healthcare system, okay? And the basic theme here is we're creating the U.S. healthcare system. Instead of my telling you about it right now, we're just creating it. And what I'm saying is that the U.S. healthcare system is driven by money, which means capitalism, which means seeking profits. And the ideal model for the U.S. healthcare system is derived from the beliefs of Adam Smith, a famous English economist from the 18th century, which is you just let the marketplace determine everything. And the consequence of that is that is the U.S. healthcare system publicly owned or privately owned? Private, largely privately owned. Okay, the model is a private model. Now we're going to discover in a few minutes that that's way too simple, and that in the United States the government is very heavily involved in very complex ways. But the underlying model is a private model. So, let's get this eraser, which is kind of hidden down here. So, carefully kept clean on the floor. So let's go back to a little bit of history. And we're going to go to the UK for a minute. Who's doing the UK? Okay, so I'm not gonna take away too much of your story. Who became doctors in the UK? Medical doctors, what kind of person? What was the profession of medicine back in the 1700s?
An elite one?
Elite,
Yes.
that's
Elite
correct.
men.
I'm sorry,
Elite men.
elite men. And not only were they elite, but they were wealthy. And medical practice was a hobby because their wealth came from their land ownership, okay? At the same time, physicians in the United States were, there were people moving in, there were medical schools being started. Well, not really medical schools, but people were training as apprentices in medicine. What kind of people were they? Was there an inherited nobility in the United States?
No.
Nope. What were they? Who became the physicians of the 19th century?
Of the 19th century?
18th century. Middle class. Because there was no landed gentry in the United States. There were some wealthy people, particularly in the South. Those people who owned slaves were wealthy, okay? The culture was different. They just sat on their front porch. I'm living in Georgia now. They sat in their front porch drinking cold drinks and watched their slaves work. They didn't care about becoming doctors. They just sat there, okay? So people who became physicians came out of what today would be called the middle class, or a merchant class, or a working class of people. So when these people provided health care, what did it cost? Nothing. Nothing. Now, they took care of who they wanted to. So they took care of their friends. If you worked for someone wealthy and you were in favor, you might get health care as a favor to that wealthy person. If you didn't, you got nothing. Now, if you go back to the 18th and 19th centuries, getting nothing was probably just as good as getting something because the medical care system really didn't work, but you know that. Okay. In the meantime, here you are, a physician in the United States. It's the colonial, what we would call the colonial period, but this would be true in the 19th century as well. You're not rich, so what does that mean?
The cost will be higher.
I'm sorry, say again?
The cost of healthcare is going to be higher.
The costs will be higher, sure, because you have to get paid. Okay? And because the model of America, starting from, and we'll talk about this for a little while, starting from the very beginnings of the Declaration of Independence, are based on capitalism. Doctors needed to get paid. And how much did they get paid? As much as they could. Just like Coca-Cola costs as much as you're willing to pay for. Right? And we talked about that. If they could make 20 shekels on a bottle of Coca-Cola, they would. Right? And that's the way the U.S. healthcare system started. And frankly, that's the way the U.S. healthcare system is today. So, there's a lot of private ownership. Everyone wants to make a profit. Okay? Everything is expensive. So Mason, you worked in a hospital system. I had the pleasure of talking to the CEO of the hospital, your boss's boss's boss probably, very nice man. Do you know what he gets paid?
No.
You want to guess?
Which institution?
Okay, go ahead.
So I worked at a hospital in the States, in Oregon. It's called the Samaritan Health Services. So the CEO actually was the CEO of 5 different hospitals in the area and various clinics and such. I don't really know how much he got paid, but,
Should
he
be
wasn't,
around
he definitely wasn't the highest paid employee at the hospital.
He was not,
He was not.
okay,
A doctor was.
okay.
Just want to put that out there.
Okay, so, and we'll get to that in a minute. So how big is that whole system in comparison to Rambach, do you know?
I don't,
How many beds?
I don't know.
The total beds are gonna be about half of Rambach. I looked it up.
You did?
500. 500 in total.
Of all 5 hospitals or just the one? in
All 5
Dallas?
hospitals are gonna be, and they're small hospitals, there are a number of
Yeah,
small
they're not,
hospitals.
they're not huge, yeah,
Right.
wow.
So, and Rambach is 500 beds?
No, 1,000.
1,000, yes.
Wow.
So this might be as many as 500, 600 beds,
Okay.
okay? So what is the Director General of Rambach, what does he pay, you know?
You pay 70,000 shekels.
700,000.
Per month, 70,000?
Okay,
70,000 per month.
70,000 per month?
800 per year, divide by
4.
less than 4 now.
I know. So maybe he
The
makes,
dollar is not 4.
Yeah, so
Maybe
let's say-
3.
yeah, let's say he makes, well, yeah, we'll say he makes 300,000 shekels. Okay, $300,000.
That's not a lot.
That's not that much.
But he taxed much more.
Wait, that's not a lot.
For a
Taxes
CEO?
are much.
For a CEO, that's not a lot.
This is Israel.
Yeah.
It depends where you are.
No, that's totally fine, but I'm just like, I'm thinking like, okay, so.
But let's say- let's
so
take for example-
Mullins makes a lot more than that.
No,
Yeah.
but let's take the highest paid surgeon, let's say in a similar hospital in Tel Aviv.
Yeah,
Oh, he gets in total, because he works private and non-private.
yes,
In total, in not Rambach, but Ichilov.
Yeah.
Same salary for the CEO of Ichilov. He gets, according to the Ministry of Finance, he gets 14 million shekels per year.
okay,
14 million divided by 4,
yeah.
3.5 million per year. He
Okay.
gets both private and non-private
And
salary.
that's a surgeon?
That's a surgeon.
And then he gets.
You want to know his name? His name is Klausner. Klausner.
What kind of surgeon is
Something. He's a general surgeon.
he?
Probably not the best one. Probably not even in the middle. Just very senior. He's doing surgeries which are not state of the art now, but that's the health system.
And is
You don't get paid for what you do.
Is
So-
he the highest paid employee
No,
or?
no, no.
No? Okay.
He's probably the highest paid employee in Ichilov.
Yeah.
Okay,
Okay.
but not in.
Not all of Israel.
There-
No, I meant like at the hospital, that's what I meant.
Okay, so let's go back. So there are going to be, everywhere in the world, there are going to be people who are making a lot of money, okay, even in Israel, okay? But let's go back to what the CEO of Rambam makes, which is going to be more typical. And he's here, okay? And your guy is probably making $1.5 million, okay?
And he's not even the highest paid employee.
No, and there's going to be a surgeon,
And a
Okay.
neurosurgeon, yep, he makes a lot more than that.
right, who's going to make something like this.
Yes.
Okay? Right? Now, here's the thing. This is typical in the United States. Okay? So, $300,000 is what many physicians make in the United States.
Yes.
Right? Okay,
Can I,
so,
can I ask you a question?
yeah,
What is going to happen to your CEO if he's going to lose, if he's going to be in a deficit of, let's say, $50 million per year in sequence of several years?
yeah,
What's going to happen to him?
he will be fired.
What's going to happen to this guy? I'm not.
They probably won't be fired,
No.
right?
Right.
Now.
He's going to get the 300 regardless of his
Of his ability.
abilities or what's he do or finance or whatever.
But
If it's going to be excellent or if it's going to be very bad, it's going to get the same amount of money. Nobody would fire him.
right. So,
Only if some misconduct or.
so this guy will get fired, but, so there are really two different things here. One is he'll get fired, but he probably has a 5-year contract. So before he finishes, he's gonna get $7.5 million, okay? hospital will not deal with him, you're right. So from a capitalist perspective, the hospital throws him out, he's expensive to get rid of, but then they can go on to do quote better. Okay? All right, so U.S. healthcare system is profit motivated, privately oriented, and then who pays for all of this?
Well, we do, citizens,
The patients, we do,
taxes.
we pay, patients pay. Okay, so let's talk about something called moral hazard. Anyone familiar with it? Yeah, you want to tell us about? It's Gil, yes?
Zil.
Zil,
Gil.
Zil, your first
Gil. Gil is easier for English speakers. Gil.
Gil, okay. So Gil, tell us about moral hazard.
Moral hazard, the best example which I will start with an example, if you will, because that will be easier to explain in English. The best example which I heard is that if, let's say, I have an insurance for my car. I park my car far away because I can't get it into here on Sundays, only on Thursdays. So I parked over there. It was very hot. And then in the middle of the way, I couldn't remember if I closed the car or not. Now I'm going to have an insurance. Okay, so I'm going to say, okay, I'm going to have an insurance. I don't care if they're going to take my car, steal my car. I'll get the insurance so I come here. So this is an example. Because I have an insurance, I tend to use the insurance more than in a don't have insurance. For example, in the medical system, there was a very, very nice study done in the 70s showing, in the United States, showing that those who have an insurance tend to use more the health system than those who don't have insurance. In Israel, if I may say, those who have private insurance tend to use the insurance more, they will have more surgeries, and the surgery will be unnecessary more. As opposed to those who don't have private insurance, they will use less the insurance, and then the rate of unnecessary surgery will be lower.
Right, so the big, thank you, I completely agree with your description, okay? So the basic point is that with medical insurance, people don't have the sense that they are paying for it. Who doesn't have the sense that they're paying for it? Neither the patient nor the doctor. And by saying doctor, I'm saying health system. So the doctor, the clinic, whatever it is, right? There is a third party who pays. Okay? Now, in the United States, after World War II, there were economic circumstances that caused the government to stop allowing corporations to give raises to employees. They froze all of the salaries. I mean, it's incredible to think about this today. But in the late 40s, early 50s. So if Irma and I are both heads of companies, and we want to hire Isabella, okay, the typical thing would be, you want to hire her, you offer her $50,000 a year. She says to me, I like Irma, but if you pay me $55,000, I'll work for you. And so I say, okay, I'll have to do that because I need an employee. You may come back and say, I'll pay you $60,000, or maybe you won't because you have a maximum. In the meantime, we're competing with each other for her. We couldn't do that because the government said you can't, basically said you can't compete. It's $50,000. You got stuck, okay? So somebody who worked for me said, we're smarter than Irma.